Everybody can hear us? Yeah? So just to get a sense of the audience, who here is an investor? Raise your hand. They are smart, they're not raising their hand. Who here is a founder or an ecosystem player? All right. Who came here just because he's speaker and he can't wait for his session to end and then just leave, like all the others that were on stage before us? Okay, it's not funny, fine. And who here doesn't understand why we speak in English? Well, it's an Israeli, okay.
They asked us to.
So those of you who don't know me, I'm Guy Katsovich. I work as a panel host for a small commission and free alcohol. I'll host your panel. And I really want to take the opportunity.
And parties, no?
Yes, I really want to take the opportunity above the stage to let you know that I'm available starting, this conference ends on Tuesday, so I'm available starting Wednesday. And besides that, I'm the founding partner at Fusion. We are a pre-seed fund and an accelerator, Israel's most active pre-seed investor for the last 7 years. I'm going to give that to you, don't worry. And we have a special format today. It's called the VC Roast panel. Sorry, I had to practice my English before the session. And we're going to do a little game. We're actually going to ask the nice panel here questions, and they're going to choose their favorite emoji.
Oh, wow.
From
got
this
a fun
box as an answer to the question, and then they need to explain to you guys why did they chose this emoji. You can choose whatever you want.
This one? I'm gonna need that one.
So of course for this session we choose Israel's most funny people in the VC landscape. They couldn't come, so we now have those guys. Okay, now I understand how comedians feel when nobody laughs. Fine. Okay, so we're gonna start. Before we're gonna start, you wanna say a sentence about yourself, like who you are and what you do? Just a quick sentence, starting from Liran.
Hi, I'm Liran, a managing partner at Meron Capital.
Hi, Sarai, partner at NFX.
Hi, Amit Karp from Bessemer Venture Partners.
Okay, and we're gonna do that real quick. First question is added value. Is added value for VCs is just branding, or are we actually useful for founders? Please raise your emoji and explain. Who wanna explain? You can just jump in.
Okay, so I think if you ask the average VC about their added value, it's very similar to if you ask the average driver how they drive. No, I don't think you're ever going to answer from a driver. They're driving not as good as others. If you ask the average entrepreneur how much value typical VC adds, you'll get the real answer.
Anyone else want to add?
I'm going to put cyber aside because I think there's a lot of added value in cyber, but I think just in general, trying to actively to bring added value could border in trying to manage the company for the founder. And honestly, the best thing you can do for the founder is just be a good partner to them and not try to run the company instead of them.
Do no harm. Sarah, you want to join? Or?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm not an amazing driver, not at all. But I do think we bring a lot of value to our founders, and this is why I put the dollar sign. Just ask the founders of the VC that you want to be engaging with if they bring any value or not. That's the best way to really know.
Cool. Next question, agentic AI. Is it the future of software or just the next NFTs? I don't see yours. Okay. Who want to explain? Sarah, you're the different one.
Yes, okay. So those of you who don't understand that this is the real deal are either blind or afraid to lose your job or just not aware of the biggest revolution of our time.
Everything is going to change. It's going to be similar to what at the time people were kind of laughing at the cloud, moving to the cloud. Like you're not going to see any new company is going to be an agentic company, any new interface is going to be an agentic interface. It's all going to be agentic.
All right, we're going to skip to the next question. We're going to do 2 answers per topic, okay? So vertical SaaS, is it a gold mine still or just very old school nowadays? Is there real innovation here?
So I'm going to let Sarai
We need
pick
to
one
take
first.
all of those out.
Oh,
you
here's
found
the
this
poop
one.
emoji. So I think it just got easier to do things, which is honestly great. Like since the cloud revolution, just like things gotten easier to do and barriers to entry have reduced. You just need to find a moat that's not about building the software. Sometimes it's subject matter expertise, sometimes just the complexity of building an enterprise system. I think it's great. I just think there's a lot of people concerned for their job right now, and maybe rightfully so.
Anyone else want to take a shot?
Vertical SaaS is real, but the winners have already been declared. It's the previous generation of vertical SaaS companies that only own the market. They're all going to develop the AI capabilities. It's going to be very difficult to replace them.
Yeah, so we basically are seeing the end of hyper-growth in the space, but it's not dead, it's just evolving, and they're changing their business model, they're going for more profitability, but it's definitely not dead. It's a $300 billion industry.
Cool. So this question has been sponsored by a few VCs about cybersecurity. Are we living in a beautiful cyber bubble, or is this just the Israeli cheat code? Can we keep selling zero-revenue cyber startups for $300 million in 2 years, or that window should be closed soon? Please raise your emoji and explain.
You go.
I think we really cracked the code in Israel about cybersecurity. Like, unlike other areas, it's much easier to know what is the next category. Today it's IoT, then it's open source, then it's MCPs, then it's agents, and it's kind of very clear swim lanes. We have all these accelerators that can bring you to market. I think it's indefensible.
Just raise your emoji when you speak, so they'll see.
Honestly, I think the playbook for cyber is so good that it's kind of ruining the ecosystem. Like, yes, we know how to build companies. It's easier for the large cybersecurity companies to buy our startups for $200, $300 million and bring the distribution to them than for them to build something their own. So there's a system that really works. But, and this is the thing that really concerns me, everything is turning into cyber in the Israeli ecosystem. I see the best founders pivoting from biotech, from fintech, from areas that you really need solutions for directly into cyber, and eventually it's just a 200 billion annual revenue industry. So we really need more companies in other areas.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and the reason I put this emoji up is because I don't think it's sustainable for us to have an industry where we sell companies for $100 to $300 million for like 10 more years. It's not going to work. And those are small exits for VCs like us.
All right, we are in a good pace here. So we want to talk about the unbranded digital startups. So guys, what about the startups that aren't founded by the veterans of the elite technological units from the army, the 8200 Talpiot guys? What about founders that are building just, quote unquote, digital companies? Will we back and fund the next week's or Monday nowadays? Oh, explain. You have to explain
Look
that.
at us. Bingo. Yeah, maybe I'll start. I think it's easy to confuse just being a top performer. So honestly, if you're a top performer when you were 18, you probably got into one of those obvious units because that's what they seek out. On the other hand, I think too many VCs look for those two top performers, maybe in all of the obvious places. So I think the Sayarot, like the leading army combat units, the TAIS, you know, all the other units that do attract top performers are just as good a source for top startups. And I also think that there are also people who maybe weren't a top performer at 18, but that's a part of their story. And I think VCs are missing out by looking too much into the obvious type of founder.
Thank you. Anyone else want to take a shot?
I think that people who come from 8200 obviously have a lot of benefit, and many of them go to cyber. The swim lanes are clearer. The expected value is also clearer there. But I think what we really see is the biggest outcomes would often come from outside kind of the traditional path. We've seen it obviously with Monday. We've seen it with Wix. We've seen it recently with eToro. Next Insurance got acquired recently. So I would definitely not dismiss companies that are not founded by 8200 graduates.
Yeah, and just to add, now with this crazy revolution, a high school geek can build something over the weekend with no money that can, you know, win over like the best team from 8200. And we're already seeing it out there.
In English, we say 8200. Yeah. Okay. So I want to they asked me not to say bad words, but I'm going to say it right now. B2C, sorry. I'm going to ask you about that. Is Israeli consumer tech dead? Or are there still odds that we're going to found the next leading consumer tech companies here? Think about the gaming companies, IronSource, Playtika, Fiverr, Lightrix, etc. Please give us your view for the audience. Yeah, whoever want to take it.
So, okay, I chose this vanilla emoji because I don't think there's no market for this. Even if you're asking Meta, they're going to tell you that the Israeli founder can build the next, the biggest consumer tech out there. We have the ability, we have the skills for it, we're just not going for it. And I don't have an answer why. Maybe because we're all doing cyber.
I think it's the opposite of cyber. So Israel has zero playbook for consumer. Every now and then we do have a company succeeding, and it's always the exception to the rule. And there's not enough people in it. So a fifth grader could probably tell you what's the buying process of a CISO, but most startup founders can't really tell you what's CAC to LTV. So there's just not enough playbook, not enough ecosystem smarts here, and it's a shame because that's actually a huge ecosystem. So I would love to invest in it, but I just don't feel like there's enough good opportunities and enough of an ecosystem for it.
Let's start with gaming.
Don't agree at all. I think the biggest companies, if I had to bet, that would come out of Israel in the next decade would be a consumer company.
Wow.
I think that we've seen it before here. And there's much better talent than there used to be here before. We've seen it obviously with companies like Wix and Fiverr and others. And you can also say Monday we have so. I think there's much more talent than used to be here around product, go-to-market, demand gen, and all these other things. I think it was just historically in the past decade or so, it was almost impossible to build a large consumer company because everything was closed. All the roads were taken by you had to pay the marketing spend, which was huge, and it was just more who raises more capital. I think now with AI, there's going to be new opportunities for new consumer modalities, completely new consumer companies, and there is some chance that one of them comes out from Israel, and if it does, these are much larger markets.
Amazing. Last two questions. Valuations. Are we in a healthy market? Is it rational? Or are we still partying in La La Land? All right, Sarai, you go first with this emoji.
No, I had to use it because you said we only have 2 more questions.
Somebody has to take it.
Put aside Wiz acquisition. I do think we're seeing, and all the cyber people that comes to us and ask for crazy valuation, I do see the market and the valuations are getting to normality. Okay, an average normal size C deal is now something that I'm seeing more and more. The multiples are now, 5 to 6 with the cyber, right? Even in the public market with eToro's IPO, it was 5 to 6 on revenues. So I think we're good. I do have to say one thing because the big players here are offering you guys, the founders out there, higher valuations, and it's don't do it, don't take it, okay? At seed. It's a mistake, and then you're running after the valuation. You need to prove it, to the next investors. It's a mistake.
I believe the market is efficient. You always ask VCs, and they always complain about valuation, and it was true 10 years ago, it was true 5 years ago, and it's true today. Eventually, you just don't know. You're investing today. The outcome is going to be 5 or 10 years from now, and by definition, you don't know how the market is going to look like 5 or 10 years from now. The multiples might be higher then, they might be lower then. So there's a game, you have to play it. Good companies come out of these games, and that's it.
I think I'm just seeing a split between maybe obvious industries and non-obvious industries, and it's a little bit similar to my comment on cyber before. I think if you're doing enterprise, if you're doing something that it's easy to digest for investors, it's very easy for the valuation. I'm talking about entry, seed level valuation to creep up very high. And it's a shame because it also means that there's a lot of underfunded industries, but it also means for me as an investor that there's a lot of opportunity in those in those industries.
Thank you. And we're going for the last question, which is AI. AI in everything. So when you see an AI-powered, quote-unquote, company, a startup, are you excited or are you immediately suspicious? What would be your response?
Need 2 emojis for this.
I had an opportunity to use it twice. It reminds me of that campaign in the 20s that appeared, what was the name of the show? Mad Men, right? It's toasted, right? For their tobacco, remember that? So the Mad Men series, so Lucky Strike, the cigarette company, so they used this awesome campaign, really brilliant, and they said that their tobacco is toasted, but everyone's tobacco is toasted. So everyone's companies are AI-powered, guys. You cannot use something that is like universally true and market as an advantage. It's just stupid, and we know it.
Have you ever heard of a company say proudly, "Oh, we use AWS Cloud"? It's just a tool that you're using, and honestly, it's a tool that you have to use because no one's going to build a server room under their office anymore. Like it's a tool that makes things easier, and it's a must. It makes things a lot easier. It could open the door for a lot of innovation, but also it's not a difference maker on its own. So don't get confused. If you're a company using AI, great, you probably did a very smart infrastructure decision. It doesn't necessarily make you an AI company, and it doesn't allow you to not think too hard. What is your competitive advantage?
Everybody uses AI, but you have to use it, and if you're not using it, you're in the wrong game. And I do think that if you use it correctly and you find the new use cases, the opportunities now are endless. Just find them.
Can we do one last thing?
Yes, what do you want to do? We have 1 last minute. Okay, just raise your favorite emoji. So guys, I want to really thank you for your time. I wasn't funny, obviously, but you were, and you were interesting, and it was a pleasure to host you in this panel. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.